everybody. It's Adam and Dangernation here with Sports Capitalists, and I think this video is going to be the first one on the official channel. We thought
Yeah.
the last one was going to be.
We got new digs. It's new. It's green instead of yellow now. We got the
That's
fancy logo right there. Sports Capitalist, as you can tell. So yeah, man, we're official. We're home now.
That's right. We got the New York Jets color scheme, which is the best in all of
Okay.
football.
Hell yeah, dude.
And so we're doing this a little earlier than normal. We still got our preliminary numbers and up everything, but for our finalized numbers rankings, tonight's the Thursday night game. So if you want single game action, or if you're interested in other sports, NBA, MLB, the NASCAR season just wrapped up. College basketball just started. So anything that you want, you can go and join our Discord. It is 100% free. There's no bait and switch. There's no monthly membership fee. It's just a bunch of guys talking sports, making picks, and we have guys set up for each individual sport. So go give it a follow. It can't hurt because, once again, 100% free for you.
Yeah, armchair NFL coach here, and hit me up with DFS football or a bit of esports for me. Like I do follow League of Legends quite a bit, but anything else outside of that, not really my cup of tea. I could say I can only one sport at a time for me. But yeah, man, let's just jump into it. We're if you can't tell, we're doing it a little differently too. We're gonna go by positions this time. You know, some feedback that we got was and even from our standpoint too, it's like we look at some garbage games and we're just like, well, we only see one guy that we want to play out of this game. So for our sake, and obviously your guys' sake, we're gonna go by by positions, and we're just gonna talk about what we think about each tier that we're seeing here in the QB. And Adam, start it off.
Yep. So starting out at quarterback. As of right now, my QB1 is Tom Brady. It really doesn't seem to matter kind of what the game script is, whether they're ahead or behind. Tom Brady is going to throw the ball. I remember a few weeks ago he had they were smoking some team, and they just didn't take. It might have been, yeah. No, that was the game. That was the game they lost.
Oh, Chicago Bears. Yeah,
that might have been. And Tom Brady still had at least 40 attempts. They don't take their foot off the gas. Tampa Bay is a 9.5 point road favorite, but the over under is 51.5. So that indicates that Vegas thinks Washington can keep up at least a little bit, and so Tom Brady would still need to throw the ball. So Tom Brady's my QB1. Danger, how about you?
Absolutely. We were talking about it a bit before, and I don't know if you want me to say this, but your numbers are saying Mike White was number one. I was like, how is it not Tom Brady? I don't have his numbers, by the way. I'm just kind of going off of again, armchair quarterback NFL coach here.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, Tom Brady.
And I want to clarify. Go ahead.
Tom Brady, the GOAT, at I think a very cheap 7,600 for his price against the team he's going against. This isn't rocket science. Everyone's going to see this and probably pick him up and try to find room on him. I wouldn't be surprised if you see like 20% ownership in Tom Brady, even higher. But yeah, what were you gonna say, Adam?
So I was going to clarify if they're unfamiliar with how my model works. If you're a new viewer or new to the Discord, number one doesn't mean that that's necessarily they're going to score the most fantasy points. Number one, my model factors in projected fantasy points against their salary and their roster percentage. So what's inflating it for Mike White? I mean, it's still projecting a solid fantasy points, but he's lower owned than Tom Brady, and he's $2,500 cheaper, and that's kind of why he falls up in that model. But I'm also a fan of the New York Jets, so I know that Mike White is going to be the QB1 on the week. He's going to help take that division from Buffalo. So
I think
Wow,
I think it's a decent start.
it's
Ah,
it's not bad. That's a joke for anybody watching. I wouldn't. I tend to stay away from Jets games just because they're going to be emotionally influenced from me either way. Either I think they're terrible or I think they're better than what they should be, and that's just not a good way to go when you're trying to make money. I don't mind if you really believe in Mike White. I don't mind the play because they're going to have to try and keep up. They are
dude,
they are
dude,
12-point underdogs at home.
dude,
So
I'm not gonna lie, man. Yeah, I know it's a home game. Buffalo, man, something weird is going on over right there right now.
mhm.
Mike White shows that he can ball if he can just keep his hand safe. Dude,
Yeah,
I at 5100, man. I Hey man, it's a punt play for me. I think Mike White can do some damage.
yeah, it's a punt play. It's not my favorite value play. I'll get into that in a moment. But some other top tier guys I like. Justin Herbert
Yeah,
um,
my
at
boy.
73. Yeah, he's at home. They're playing Minnesota. That's the highest. No, it's not the highest over under. I misspoke. I just glanced a little down. So that's going to be my next guy actually. But it's the second highest over under. It's 53, which is a pretty good over under for an NFL game.
Yeah.
Um, and the Chargers are only 3-point home favorites. So
Ooh.
he's been Herbert's been a little disappointing in recent weeks, just in terms of fantasy production. Um, he's been okay. Just his normal upside hasn't been there.
Yeah.
Pardon me.
Y-
But Minnesota's defense is bad.
yeah.
They're going to have to go to Los Angeles. So I like Justin Herbert as well.
One guy that kind of sticks out to me, and he's always done decent no matter what game he's in, is going to be Jalen Hurts. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, they're going against Denver, who has a decent ish defense, and I know,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if anyone saw that Cowboys game, I think that was a very uncharacteristic Cowboys game.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. The score line was 30-16. It was 30-0. Like, don't
It
let
was
that, yeah, don't let that
it
score
was
line
an
fool you.
uncharacteristic Broncos game too.
Yeah, that's true too. But I think this is a game that, like, Denver's gonna get slightly ahead, and then Jalen Hurts is gonna do Jalen Hurts things, get 2 rushing touchdowns or something like that. Ball
Mm-hmm.
out. Hopefully links up with like Dallas Goedert a few times or Smith. Apparently Smith had his like best game last week too. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I mean, if you're looking for something a little less than the mid 7,000 range, Jalen Hurts is there, and I actually don't mind Kirk Cousins here either.
Mm-hmm.
Against the Chargers, yeah, like they do have Cousins can ball, like despite what the Viking record shows. They also have a very great offense, but yeah, man, their defense just cannot help themselves
Yeah.
but blow games. And at
Mm-hmm.
6,100, man, I think Cousins is at a great value.
Yeah, and like we mentioned, the high over under games is what you want to attack on offense,
Yeah,
and that game is the second highest over under currently at 53. The highest over under, and this is kind of the last bigger or guy that's kind of in the upper tier of expense.
yeah,
Dak Prescott. So we talked about how it was. It was an awful game
yeah.
last week. It
Win
was
with
2 garbage time touchdowns that
yeah, man.
somewhat saved Dak Prescott, but um, they are 9-point home favorites to Atlanta. It is the highest over under on the week at 54.5.
Whoa,
Um,
okay.
so
Because Atlanta's kind of surging right now too. They're finding their
they
groove
are.
a bit.
Yep. Yeah. I don't hate Matt Ryan. He's not terribly high in my rankings,
Yeah.
but again, but neither is Kirk Cousins. But they're kind of right next to each other there. But again, those high over under games are worth attacking. So 6,900. I think that's the same price he was last week. Um,
I can double check. Yeah, it was.
yep.
Dude,
So it hasn't moved, and rightfully so after that awful showing at home against Denver.
Those two
But Dak,
touchdowns in the garbage time literally saved his price tag. Like he's
yeah,
he's at 20 points from last week. There's just no way. But
yeah. So I expect a bounce back week, at least fantasy wise, from Dak Prescott.
gotcha.
Danger, do you have any other? Is Kirk Cousins kind of your main value play at
Yeah,
quarterback?
I think so. Value at 61. I mean, if we're looking for something super punty, like I already said, White, but your boy Trevor Lawrence, man, against
Mm,
Indianapolis,
mm.
maybe, maybe,
Maybe.
maybe. I could see the gameplay going out, man. Like I could see Carson Wentz just giving the other team the ball and just putting Lawrence in good field position, and maybe he gets himself a rushing touchdown or at least two touchdown passes. I can definitely
Yep.
see it. Yeah, again, that's a super punt play because I mean he's questionable right now. I didn't know he got hurt. Well, it's just his ankle though. Um, at
I think he'll
53,
be all right.
yeah, at 5,300. I mean, man, I s- so I think, man, I think he could get you to almost 20 maybe against the Colts.
Against the
I
Colts.
we've acknowledged on this show that we think Colts are a pretty good team, despite what their record may show.
Hmm.
But yeah, man, this is a punt. I think something tragically needs to happen in like Indianapolis in the first quarter or something, and Jags could do it. And who knows, man? Maybe Urban Meyer, maybe that Buffalo game just lit the fire under this team's ass. You know what I mean? Like, dude,
Yeah,
we're
could be.
unstoppable. Yeah, you
Could
know.
be.
Yeah.
Um, on my end, it's in the same game, but my top value quarterback, because I'm not buying the Mike White thing. I think that's just my numbers haven't completely updated yet. Um, but
Carson
my
Wentz.
yes, it is Carson Wentz. My model's actually pretty big on the Colts overall, so we'll get into that as we get through the other positions. Um, they're 10.5 point home favorites. Over unders 47.5, so that's not bad by any
Yeah.
means. That's kind of, I would say that's above average, not quite middle of the road, but a little above that. Um, so, uh, and he's had games where he just makes really boneheaded plays, and if it's
Yeah.
close, he's going to throw a clutch time interception. But if Indianapolis executes the way that they want to against Jacksonville's defense, he might not put up a ton of yards, but they still very much like to throw it in the red zone, even with Jonathan Taylor back there.
Yeah.
So yeah, at the moment, Carson Wentz is probably my value quarterback of the week at 5,900. Now, if you've been watching the last few weeks, you can very much choose to fade that, because my first two value quarterbacks haven't gone so well. Trevor Lawrence a couple weeks ago, and then Derek Carr last week wasn't that great.
Yeah.
So that's what the video's for. If you want to fade it, you're not going to hurt my feelings. I'm just putting the content out there. So
Yeah.
I like Carson Wentz as my top value quarterback this week.
It happens. And before we move on to running backs, I want to have an open-ended question. Uh, if Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson start this week,
Mm-hmm.
sh- should the audience, DFS fanatics, should they even look at Rodgers or Wilson for this game?
Yes. Yeah.
And am I guessing Rodgers should be the one that they should look at
Yes.
more so than Wilson?
Yes, just because Wilson's coming back from an actual injury.
Yeah.
Um, you know, now who's to say once they get into an actual game and all of that, if Aaron Rodgers' recovery, has anything to do with or plays a factor into that game. But Seattle's defense is just so bad. The current
worst. Yeah.
the current over under is 49.5, and I think that's without
That's
the
a
confirmation that Wilson or Rodgers are going to play. So I expect that if they are going to play, that number is going to shoot up.
That's
because
Love and
both defenses,
that's Love and
Love and
Smith,
Geno
right?
Smith, yeah, Love and Geno Smith, both defenses are real bad. So yes, I would, and it's at Green Bay. So yeah, if both of them play, I wouldn't mind playing either of them. Rodgers, even though he's a little more expensive, would be my
Yeah.
preference of the two.
Yeah, I think people that you should fade this week too. We talked about this a bit before. It's probably gonna be Murray and Allen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I don't know about a full fade on Allen. I was kind of using that as an example, but
Oh, gotcha.
I think I think there's better options for cheaper. Like I'd
Yeah.
rather have Brady and Herbert and save the money over Allen. Um, Allen's I don't want to take anything away from him because he's a great quarterback, and that hurts to say because he's probably going to dominate our division for a long time. But his rushing upside has not been there this year. And so it's just tough to eat that price point until we start seeing some more rushing upside from Josh Allen. He's still got the big arm. He's still going to complete a lot of passes, and they still like to throw it in the red zone. But without that rushing upside, I'd rather take the passing volume of a Tom Brady or a Justin Herbert.
Gotcha. All right. I can agree with that. All right, let's move on to the running backs. And it looks like CMC is back full-fledged at a expensive but cheap for the player and 8,400 against the Arizona Cardinals. Right off the
Mm-hmm.
bat, what are you thinking?
I think it's a tough price to eat. You know, Arizona's defense is solid. It's at Arizona, and PJ Walker is drawing the start this week. Sam Darnold's quote unquote hurt. I think which
Yeah,
it seemed
they
real late.
they got Cam Newton to sign this morning.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and he's not going to play this week, but it was a real weird, like late in the week. Oh, by the way, his shoulder is hurt, so that leads me to believe that they're like, all right, we got to find something wrong with him so we can bench
I
him.
know Darnold's like, I'm fine, you guys. No. You're hurt. Like,
Yeah. So not surprising as a Jets fan seeing
yeah.
him for the previous 3 years. So
All
yeah,
right.
it's tough. If you think the offense will be better with PJ Walker at quarterback, you know, the volume's going to be there for McCaffrey. That's just a hard number to eat given the uncertainty around the current state of the Carolina offense.
Yeah. All right. Talk to me. What are you thinking about these elite running backs right now? Who do you think
Uh,
is the most? I don't know.
so at the top, my top three are the three guys that are behind Christian McCaffrey. So in order, Jonathan Taylor, Najee Harris, and Dalvin Cook.
Yeah.
Taylor's as week by week is continuing to just really carve out the hey, I'm the RB1 kind of role, and I should have been a long time ago, but you guys
Yeah.
want to keep giving the ball to Marlon Mack for some reason. And
He's
so
probably
he's
the
playing
best.
Jacksonville.
Yeah, he's probably the best running back in the league right now.
He's up there. He's
Yeah,
certainly up there.
like with
Um,
contention with Dalvin Cook, of course, and yeah. Anyways.
yep. And I mean, if we're counting injured people, Derrick Henry, but
Well.
so he
I
so
was excluding him because he was injured, but yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
yeah. So I got what you meant, but yeah, all three of these guys have real solid matchups. It's going to be hard to play two of them, so you kind of have to pick which one you like the best, given their circumstance. So Jonathan Taylor, again, we mentioned they're 10.5 point favorites at home against Jacksonville. So if the game gets out of hand, they're just going to keep feeding him the ball. The same is going to go for Najee Harris, and that one I might like a little bit more just because he's a little cheaper. Pittsburgh is 8.5 point home favorites against Detroit. And the over-under in that game is only 42.5, and lower over-unders tend to favor running backs, unless you're looking for some passing work. And then Dalvin Cook, you know, that game's probably going to be a shootout, and he's one of those game script proof running backs where whether they're ahead or behind, they're going to find a way to get Dalvin Cook the football. So I like those three guys better than Christian McCaffrey this week.
Gotcha. Yeah, the main two I'm looking at, just like not I do like Taylor, but I think he's just a little too expensive for 8,100. But where I'm going to next, it's like, why are you even bothering with that? But anyways, the two I'm looking at for like the elites is going to be Najee Harris. Like again, it's Roethlisberger's go-to guy.
Mm-hmm.
He can only throw like he can't throw farther than 10 yards, so he's just going to throw it to
Yeah.
him for a check down and all that, and he's going to get the run plays too. So I think, and Detroit sucks, man.
Yeah.
We were like holding out kind of hope for Detroit. Like, man, they don't look like awful. You know what I mean? Like they've eat some tough losses, but like, I don't know, man. I don't know if the Eagles game or the Rams game broke them, and they're just coasting now. But yeah, Najee Harris is just gonna run a field on these guys. And
Yeah.
the other one I actually like is Austin Eckler
Mm-hmm.
against this Minnesota. I think if the Chargers leads this game in the first half, like with Austin Eckler, of course, I think they're just going to control it with the running game moving into the second, and that's just going to be more, short passes to Eckler and hopefully maybe some touchdowns. Plus, the Minnesota defense is not that good, like at all.
Right. Yep.
So I think I think he has a good floor, and I think his ceiling for this game is just going to go, whew, especially
Yeah.
with like Mike Williams just not being Mike Williams. Like apparently on the broadcast, they said he had like a knee injury, so I don't know if that's been affecting his
Mm-hmm.
gameplay issues. If so, obviously I think more of his targets or more of the game plan is going to revolve around Eckler this game too. Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you thinking on like mid tier people? I see two or three almost like right off the bat.
Yeah. So I've got a couple. My best value guy is going to be D'Ernest Johnson for Cleveland. Nick Chubb and oh gosh, I can't remember the other. It's not Hunt because Hunt has a normal injury, but the other two running backs for Cleveland both tested positive.
Oh yeah,
So
Chubb's out. Oh wait, are you serious? Oh wow, Johnson's
yeah,
back.
yes. So D'Ernest Johnson is going to be the running back in this game, and New England's got a solid defense, but that volume is going to be there for D'Ernest Johnson because the way that offense is structured, they have to establish a running game if they
Yeah,
want to let Baker Mayfield throw the ball. So for 4,700, he's going to be chalky because
he's going
I
against a
think a
New
lot.
England defense. Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of people are going to play him because they know he's going to be the RB1 this week for Cleveland, and he's only 4,700. But you can't pass up that volume for that price, so that you can use that money to grab other people. So, D'Ernest Johnson is my top value play at running back this week. I also don't mind Leonard Fournette at 6,100. Um, he's the Ronald Jones days are dead.
Yeah.
So and again, Washington, not a bad running defense, but if Tampa Bay starts to run away with it, even though we talked about it, Tom Brady's still gonna throw it. They're still gonna give it to Leonard Fournette, especially if they're up big and they're in the red zone. Fournette's gonna get a lot of touches. So
Yeah.
um, so I like him at 6,100. I think that's a good value.
I completely agree with the Fournette. He was actually going to be one of my choices too. Yeah, I think I wouldn't be surprised if this Tampa Bay Washington game is very similar to the Chicago Bears game,
Mm-hmm.
where they just destroy them. The two, well, I'll just say one person I'm looking at is Cordell Patterson against
Mm-hmm.
the Dallas defense. I think, man, I I love running backs that gets past the ball to. If you guys can't
Mm-hmm.
tell, I think the same game plan that's going for Eckler is going to happen for Patterson. And I think the Broncos offense somehow just totally exposed the Dallas defense. And Atlanta's kind of surging, and it's on the back of Patterson right now. And this one guy is like single-handedly carrying the team. Mike Davis is done. Like they
Yeah.
like he should not be on the field anymore. This guy should be in 100% of the snaps now. If he's in, it's just bad. You're just bad at coaching or game
Yeah.
planning or whatever. I definitely like him in there, and I'm kind of on the fence with this one because he's at 63, and I know he had a big game was Connor. Yeah,
Hmm.
he's going against Carolina, man. Like
Yeah.
you know he could ball, and with I forgot the other guy's name. He's completely injured now.
Edmonds.
At Edmonds, he's injured now, so all of the workload's going to go to Connor now, and he's a proven
Yeah.
running back too on his days on the Pittsburgh Steelers too. I think Connor's gonna. Yeah, I think Patterson and Connor are the guys, and Fournette of course too.
Yep. Connor at the moment is my RB8.
Yeah,
So they're all kind of either in the top 10 or right up against it. So Patterson and Fournette are right next to each other, but I completely agree with Patterson.
yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised if when I run this again on Saturday night that Patterson's
a little
not
higher.
higher.
Yeah,
Yeah, because you're right. He's their running back. He's getting a ton of passing work. I mean, with Ridley out, he's almost their wide receiver one as
yeah,
well.
dude,
He,
he
he
kind of
almost
is stat wise. Yeah,
yeah. So,
I mean,
and again, you want to attack those high over under games. So, Cordero Patterson, that's the highest over under game at the moment at 54.5. So yeah, and I don't think he was 6,600 last week, wasn't he?
I think so. Let me look. I can look it up right. Yeah, he was
Right.
63.
Oh, okay. So a little bit. I still think
Yeah,
that's kind of a misprice for DraftKings. I think he should be more expensive. So I think
like
that's a
around
that's a really good
7K.
value.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do
Yeah.
have one punt play. Do you have one, or that you want to go with?
Uh, yeah, I got one if you
All
want to
right.
go first.
Yeah, I'll go first. I'm gonna go with my boy, and I mentioned him last week to you too, and you're like, nah, dude. And that is Melvin Gordon.
Hmm.
I, dude, he's. I know Williams is great too, but I think Melvin Gordon just has kind of shown he can ball a little more.
Hmm.
Williams has too, but dude, against a very vulnerable, while they are run heavy D with with their D line. They're good at protecting the run.
Hmm.
I think they can get beaten down at a point to make room for Gordon to succeed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of digging this pick. He's only 5,300. Yeah, and that's my reasoning too. Like, yeah, that's what I got for
Yeah.
Gordon.
Yeah. I agree with that. Him and Javante are kind of neck and neck there, and since Javante's price is up again this week, I think I'd rather play Gordon. My punt play, uh, according to my model, would be Devin Singletary. Um,
Oh,
so 4,700 against the hapless New York Jets. Now, what makes this additionally interesting is we mentioned D'Ernest Johnson is also 4,700. Everybody's going to play D'Ernest Johnson because he's the only running back for Cleveland. They're playing the Patriots, and when D'Ernest Johnson got the start a couple weeks ago against Denver, he scored at least twice. Um, so everybody's going to have him. So if you're looking for some ownership leverage, you could, for the same price, play Devin Singletary and bet on the Bills just absolutely smoking the New York Jets and Singletary falling into the end zone at least once. I think gives you a good leverage play off of the D'Ernest Johnson chalk.
yeah, I could definitely agree to an extent. Um,
I don't think they have the same upside, but
yeah, I
if he can fall in the end zone once and you get that and maybe something happens to Johnson or maybe the Patriots because it's in New England, maybe they absolutely shut down that Browns offense.
yeah.
Um, you can kind of take that gamble and gain yourself some leverage while not paying anything extra.
Yeah, the only reason why I would be hesitant about Singletary is just two things: how Buffalo has been playing recently, and the fact that
Mm-hmm.
they're not a run offense.
Yep,
Like,
I agree. There's some
yeah,
risk, but
yeah,
that's what makes it a punt play.
yeah, punt play for sure. All right, and with that punt play, let's get on over to our wide receivers. And at the very top here, we got Devontae Adams at 79. Adam, start us off, man.
Mm-hmm.
What are you seeing here?
So Adams, even though he's the most expensive, I would smash him if Aaron Rodgers plays.
Mm-hmm.
That game, the over under will go up if Rodgers and Wilson are playing, and so Seattle's defense is just so bad that this is I try not to play like the most expensive guys often. I try and see if I can like gain a little bit of leverage on value. But I would smash Devontae Adams if Aaron Rodgers is playing. Stephon Diggs is up there, so he would be a leverage play if you want to save a little money and not play Devontae Adams. Chris Godwin, we mentioned Tom Brady's the QB1, so you're going to want to stack him with somebody. So Chris Godwin at only 71 is up there as well. And then we mentioned my model likes the Colts. It likes Jonathan Taylor. It likes Carson Wentz, and it likes Michael Pittman this week at only 6,300, which I think is a pretty big misprice considering how involved Michael Pittman's been in this offense lately. So those are kind of my top guys that I'm looking at right off the bat. How about you?
Gosh, like at the very top, I like the people in the 7,000 range. I don't know, man. I'm besides Adam with what you said on Rodgers playing, I'm not really feeling any of them. Where I'm getting some good vibes is again our boy Allen, who I think we've recommended in almost every episode now, and
Mm-hmm.
he's done well in those episodes too. Yeah, 19.7, 25.4. I think he's going to have another monster game against the Minnesota Vikings. I do like Mike Evans. That's where you get your stack with Tom Brady if you do start him. Like
Mm-hmm.
it just, this isn't analytics at all, but like Chris and Evans just seems to, share target share. Like, all right, I get the bigger load this week. Okay, I get the bigger load this week. It looks like it's
Yep.
Mike Evans' turn this week, so hey, start him. Yeah, and
Yeah.
like again,
I
not really,
wouldn't pay.
not really
I'm
analytical,
sorry.
but yeah, no, go ahead.
Yeah, if you're stacking Tom Brady, I wouldn't, because you're right. I 100% agree with that. So if you're trying to stack Tom Brady, I wouldn't use up your salary trying to stack both of them. You got to pick the guy that you think is going to be the guy that week. And you're right. It could very well be an Evans week, and you would save $200 by doing that. I just have Godwin a few spots higher.
Gotcha. Yeah, and maybe the last one in the top tier is DK Metcalf. I mean, what can you say about this guy that people haven't already said? The dude's a
Mm-hmm.
beast. Green Bay secondary is not the greatest
Nope.
at all. He's safe even with Geno Smith. It's his favorite target to go to.
Yeah.
And all that. And if Russell comes back, hey, that's even better. You know, Russell Wilson has been playing cute pretend QB for those weeks he's been out, so he's still
Yeah.
in the zone. So who knows? But he is coming off a legitimate injury. But
Yeah.
I think Metcalf is a pretty darn good choice this week at 6,800
Yeah.
against a not too good Green Bay's defense.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are you thinking about like middle of the road?
So one guy's price that's sticking out to me is Jarvis Landry at 52. No Odell Beckham. If Landry's healthy, that's going to be Baker Mayfield's first look, and he does well to distribute the ball. Don't get me wrong. it's been very impressive what Mayfield's been able to do given his shoulder injury.
Yeah.
So Landry at only 52. Again, if you want to buy into the idea that the Patriots defense shuts them down at home, it wouldn't surprise me 100%. Especially coming off a week like they did. That seems to be the Cleveland MO, where it's like, all right, there we go, we're back, and then they'll just put up an absolute goose against somebody. Maybe not exactly 0 points, but just a like, where was this? What happened to last week's team? So it wouldn't surprise me either way it goes. But Jarvis Landry's opportunity at only 5,200, that's sticking out to me. And then I think his price, maybe it went up a little bit from last week. I can't quite remember, but Amari Cooper's only 6,200.
I was just looking at him too. But yeah, he was 57 last week.
Okay, yeah, I thought it was maybe 57. I thought it was maybe 59. But yeah, it's the highest over/under game if you're going to stack Dak Prescott. Yeah, Cooper's only 6,200, and I get maybe this is a debatable opinion, but I think CeeDee Lamb's he's always got the most upside because he's a big play guy. Amari Cooper is the wide receiver one in Dallas, to me. So the fact that he's consistently cheaper than CeeDee Lamb is very surprising to me, because Amari Cooper's upside is always 2 touchdowns. Like he's always got that threat to maybe score a couple 20 or 30 yard touchdowns. Whereas CeeDee Lamb is looking for more big plays. So yeah, in terms of kind of middle of the road or middle of the pack pricing wise, those are 2 guys that I'm looking at.
Yeah, I have to agree with you on Cooper. His upside's there. I usually always lean on my guy Sanders, but I can't do that this week. I don't know. 57 and against I don't know what the heck is going on with Buffalo. Who I'm actually kind of liking right now, and I was eyeing a bit, was Jerry Jeudy and Sutton.
Mm-hmm.
There, I think there's tremendous upside to both of these.
Yeah.
It's just hard to know who's gonna get the targets.
Yeah,
and
I think it's kind of like the Cooper Lamb thing, where I think Sutton's going to get the targets, but Jerry Jeudy's got that big play upside. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Jerry Jeudy at 53.
Well, then I'll go Jerry Jeudy at 53 then. Yeah. That's who I'm seeing here. Like, I'm looking at all these other receivers too, and I know Tim Patrick had a hell of a game last week. And all that, but man, it's really like heads and tails with the rest of these receivers, man. You just don't know what you're gonna get out of these guys. Like, for example, Jones Jr. and Christian Kirk. It's like, actually, man, Christian Kirk has actually been very stable. Holy cow. For 55, like, he's always in the high teens.
Yeah. I don't know what the status is on Hopkins' injury, but Kirk would be in play if Hopkins is out. I think, against Carolina's defense.
Yeah, is Hopkins out, or is he questionable? He wasn't in attendance. Yeah, it looks like he's going to be out this week too.
No, well, then there you go.
Well, yeah, hey man, make that Kirk my punt play then. Don't do AJ Green, isn't he on COVID-19?
I think he's coming off of it. I thought I saw something earlier today that he's coming off of it, so he could be in play too.
Gotcha.
For sure. I do have one punt play.
Okay.
This is a real punt play, but this would also stack with a couple guys I talked about earlier. But
Okay.
Michael Gallup is coming back this week, and he's only 4,000. So I think he makes for an interesting. If you're trying to stack multiple people with Dak Prescott, instead of eating up your salary trying to squeeze in CD and Cooper or Zeke. Zeke's only 7,000, which I still think is a good value for him too. Gallup's only 4,000, so he's he's playing this week, or is expected to play this week at least. Again, those high over/under games. I really like Gallup's. For a pump play, I really like Gallup's upside for only 4,000.
Dang, and they're saying he won't face any limitations in his snap count in his expected return to the lineup. Then wideout number
Boom.
3. Yeah, that's a good pump play.
Yeah.
Agreed for sure. All
Yeah.
right, let's move on to the tight ends here. And at the very top, we have Kyle Pitts, and I do not agree with that.
Yeah, no, neither do I.
And I am not liking TJ or Hawkinson. Yeah, TJ Hawkinson this week either. And that leaves with our boys, Dalton Schultz and Dallas Goedert as the next two valuable. Dallas at 5,000 and Dalton. I can't say names right now. Schultz at 5,000, Goddard at 4,700.
Yeah, my model's been high on Goddard the last few weeks, especially with the targets that he's getting. It's not as high this week against Denver. I think seems to like Denver's defense at home a little bit more. One guy, the guy currently at the top, just based on, again, it's based on price, projected ownership, all that guy. And this guy's on a hot streak is Pat Freiermuth for the Steelers.
Muth?
Yep, the Muth.
The Muth?
He's only 3,900, and I think with how well he's performed lately, he's going to be a little chalky because people are going to be like, he's only 3,900, and rightfully so. But he seems to be getting a lot of targets, which is, I think, a little surprising. One, for a rookie tight end, because they typically don't do a ton. But two, they have Chase Claypool and Deontay Johnson, and you mentioned earlier, I think Roethlisberger's a little, and Harris. So I think Roethlisberger's a little more limited in his throwing, given his aging body. So he tends to look Freiermuth's way a good chunk of time. So I'm really big on him at the top, and then a little cheaper than the guys we just talked about. Schultz is up there, but Noah Fant, I believe, is if he plays this week, he's only 4,300, and now that we're kind of talking about it, if we want to go back, because I like Judy, I don't mind Sutton. Philadelphia's defense is not good. They're at home. Bridgewater might be an interesting stacking option.
QB play?
Yeah, if you believe, because he's not terribly high in my rankings right now. He's QB 11, which isn't bad, and he's only 5,500. So if you believe in Judy, Sutton this week specifically, Noah Fant, who right now is showing us my tight end 2, then Bridgewater might be worth a look. And that's gonna give you a lot of room, because Fant's only 43, Bridgewater 45, or 55. I'm sorry, Judy 53. I think Sutton was 56. So if you roll with that stack, that frees up a lot of room for going to grab some of the top guys like your Jonathan Taylors, Dalvin Cooks, Devontae Adams, things like that. So yeah, but just going back to tight ends. I like Dalton Schultz, Freiermuth, Noah Fant, and then our boy Dan Arnold has been he's been getting a lot of targets lately, and he's still only 3,500, which I think he's underpriced there. So if you believe in Trevor Lawrence this week, like Danger mentioned, I would, if you're playing Trevor Lawrence, I would 100% have Dan Arnold in your lineup, because there's a direct correlation there.
I agree with you across the board on all these tight ends. The only people I would add to the conversation is going to be Zach Ertz. Again, we got holy cow, what's his name? The QB, please help me. For Arizona.
Kyler Murray.
Thank you. Yeah, we Kyle Murray coming back. So I think Ertz is going to get up there, and again, Hopkins is potentially out, so I think they're going to just be eyeing him more.
Yeah.
And I definitely like Hunter Henry this week. Like he's only
Mhm.
getting like low single digits though, but he is making them count, and he's very red zone dependent though. But I
Yeah.
think New England have definitely found their stride on like what works for this offense with Mac Jones.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, like again, like what's old is new. Hunter Henry is the new Gronk for the Patriots right now. So yeah,
Yeah.
I think Hunter Henry has some upside. Again, you're not gonna get more than like 10 points out of this dude, but
Yeah. And
yeah,
and Cleveland's defense is bad. They might be getting one of their linebackers back, and I don't want to take a shot at his last name, but they just call him Joke because that's his initials, JOK.
oh, okay,
The rookie from Notre Dame that they drafted. So he's been hurt. So they're potentially getting him back this week. So that might make a difference for the tight ends of New England. But even still, I agree with you. I think his upside is there. Um, Again, just because even with him back, Cleveland's defense has just been bad all year. It doesn't seem to matter if they're at full health or not.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, I like him. And maybe as a real pump play, Jonnu Smith, who's the other New England tight end, because he's only 2,500. So that would be an
ooh,
okay pump play there.
maybe another
Um,
punt play for me would be Jared Cook.
mhm. Yep.
Man, I love this dude. Um,
Yeah.
like
Very,
he's great.
very touchdown dependent, though. I mean,
Yeah,
just incredibly touchdown dependent.
yeah.
Um,
Just as the same with Hunter Henry. Like Jared Cook is touchdown dependent, but he always looks for him. That's for sure.
yeah, I think my problem with Cook now is,
The
I,
target
there,
share
yes, well, and
with
even just the target share within his own position, because it seems Donald Parham scored for him last week, who's their second tight end. So he's his upside, I think, is just a little capped because they seem to be running a little bit more two tight end sets, and that's not not great for me.
it's a coin flip.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. One other pump play tight end that I really like is Tyler Conklin for Minnesota.
Conk.
Um, he's only 3,400. Again, the over under is high. It's at 53. And just for whatever reason, I don't know. I'm not going to question it for DFS, but I question it as somebody who understands football. I mean, this guy gets crazy targets,
Yeah.
especially in situations that don't call for it. Like if Minnesota's trying to generate a game-winning drive, they will check down to Tyler Conklin for some. They won't. They have Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen, and they just won't throw deep. They'll just eat. They'll just be like, all right, we'll just take 5 yards here. And it's like, you have 30 seconds left. You don't have any timeouts. Stop throwing to Tyler Conklin. But I'm not going to question that for DFS because that's going to result, um, even here, few points here and there can make the difference, especially for only 3,400. Um, and he's involved in the red zone offense. So, um, yeah, I like Tyler Conklin at 3,400 just because I think he gets more target share than as a football fan I think he deserves.
Yeah. All right. Last but not least, let's get into a defense here.
Yeah,
Like what? Like so defense. You normally go for budget on these. Like this is where you kind of save some money for it. I don't know, because if you do pay
yeah.
up
I
for like
try
a
to.
Steelers defense, it never really pans out well. But
You're right. You're right. Yeah, even though those kinds of defenses are kind of towards the top, just because they're safer, but the upside and the GPP play, you want to try and save your money on a defense and gamble that maybe they're facing an offense that you don't think is as good, or maybe they get a pick six and really seal it. Um, but you're right. Buffalo and Pittsburgh and Arizona, those ones are obviously at the top just because of their floors. But I tend to try and save some money on defense, and go a little contrarian with it.
So who are you looking at here?
I like New England against Cleveland. I know I was wrong on. I was very wrong on Cleveland last week. I know I knew the offense was better without OBJ on the field, but like to do what they did last week
Was a
against
statement.
the Bengals was a statement against the Bengals. I think it was in Cincinnati. So they were on the road. They just got rid of Odell Beckham. Baker Mayfield's got an injured shoulder, and for that offense to look the way that it did was great. But we've also seen the floor that this offense has,
Yeah.
and nobody knows how to bring out a floor in an offense like Bill Belichick. So New England is at home. The over under in that game is only 45.5, so that's kind of like middle of the road. So at 3,400, I think the Patriots defense is a good play to get off some of the chalkier and more expensive plays like Buffalo and Pittsburgh. And I also think they'll be a little under-owned because people will see what Cleveland did last week and think, well, there's no way I'm touching New England's defense. But I'm very interested in the Patriots defense this week.
Yeah, I think they're good if you got the budget for it, because they're like, I think, yeah, they're like top 6 or something, top 7. If
Are
you're
they
looking,
still top six? Yeah, you're right.
yeah, if you're looking for something a little more budget, call me crazy, especially against the offense they're going against. Tennessee Titans. I
Mm.
I I know, like, whatever, they kicked my Rams ass, and those two touchdown, the fumble and the pick six were very uncharacteristic of it. But the rest of the game, they showed up. Like, they were
Yeah,
a problem for the Rams, and Sean McVay pretty much did not have an answer for it the whole night. I'm sure the Rams will respond well to it and all, whatever. I'm talking about the Rams, but I think the Tennessee's defense, man, I I think they could shut down New Orleans.
yeah,
Not quite like obviously how they did the Rams, but I could definitely, because obviously a bit of that was like luck and just being stupid.
yeah.
But I mean, whatever is going on with the QB position there,
Hmm.
I'm liking the Titans in this situation. They really stepped
Yeah,
up. I don't know if it's because they just huddle around like, well, Derrick Henry can't carry us anymore, so us defense guys got to do it now for this team. So
yeah.
yeah, that's what I'm liking right now.
I 100% agree with that. That's my favorite. Uh, they're my favorite defense under 3,000 for
Yeah,
sure. Um, and they're at home.
yeah.
I Winston is still out, right? I don't think we're seeing Winston
He's done
for
for the
another
rest of the
couple weeks.
season,
Oh, there
and
you go.
yeah,
Okay,
and
so
Taysom's in.
yeah,
Um,
so Tennessee's defense at home specifically is I mean the defense is I think the defense is a big weak point for Tennessee overall in terms of their aspirations for making like a deep playoff run. I don't know. Well, I mean they held the Rams up, I guess,
yeah,
um, but just overall, it's still a concern. But they're at home. They're facing Taysom Hill and Trevor Simeon.
yeah.
Yeah, 2,600. I love the Titans defense. I'm gonna throw out two Hail Mary punt plays, and these are
The
high
Jets.
risk. These are I'm telling you, these are high risk, high
Serious?
reward. The Jets are only 2,000. They're hear me out. Hear me out.
I know.
We've
I'm hearing you out. Sorry.
we've had our concern. You're right to laugh, by the way,
No,
but
but
um, the just the I wouldn't. I'm not going to do it. But the logic is they're at home. They've been better than what they started the season out at. So the defense is starting to come together a little bit more. And we mentioned Buffalo just put up 6 points against Jacksonville. The
yeah,
likelihood that that happens again, very low. But Josh Allen against the New York Jets historically is very hit and miss. So it's a gamble, but the one game I remember, because CJ Mosley is back for the Jets. He's been playing this year. He sat out last year. Um, CJ Mosley almost single-handedly beat the Bills a couple years ago. That was the game right before it was announced that Sam Darnold had mono. So the offense wasn't doing anything because Sam Darnold, we found out, was sick that game. But the Jets were still winning at halftime off of like two or three turnovers, and one or two of them went for a touchdown. They play Josh Allen pretty well. That's not to say the Jets are going to win, or that this is like you're going to really get ahead of a lot of people, because the floor is very low. But I still think it's a sneaky play.
Yeah.
The other very sneaky play, and this is very high risk. So I'm not advocating that you have to do this, but I'm just seeing that the logic is there. The Detroit Lions, it's the lowest over under on the week, at 42.5. So those are where you want to attack the defenses. And the further into a season you get, it's hard to bet against the winless team, because it's very hard to go winless in this league. Just like it's very hard to go undefeated. And the likelihood that the same franchise does it twice is very low. So at some point, Detroit's gonna steal one. And
That would be amazing.
against Pittsburgh, and we've seen that Pittsburgh's offense isn't great. Again, the over-under is only 42.5, so I think that can be a sneaky play, because they might want to try and get in there. And Pittsburgh's coming off a short week too, so keep that in mind. This could be a prime, again, very risky, but this could be a prime opportunity for Detroit to get one. And you know what is surprising? So they're 8.5-point road underdogs, but their money line is only plus 288. And that's suspicious to me. That feels like that should be a lot higher. So just based on again, those are two very, very, very risky. These are not official picks from me, but they're very, very sneaky punt plays. But the official value play, like Danger mentioned, would be the Tennessee Titans defense.
Yeah, I think that's the way to go. I could definitely. Hey man, maybe lightning does strike twice, and Jets are gonna shut out the Bills this week. Who knows,
Mike
man?
White.
I knew
White.
I knew you were gonna say the Jets too. I was like, because even I saw it too. I was like 2,000, especially with what the Jets just. I mean, with what happened to the Bills last week. I was like, but man, I'll find room for the 600 for the Titans, man.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah,
It's a GPP play for sure.
yeah.
Neither of those picks I would play in cash under any circumstance. But if you're looking for a way to get different and save that money,
if you're looking for a dangerous bet,
very dangerous, but the upside is there for both of them for sure.
All right, Adam. I think we went through everything here. We even threw in a game to stack on with Philadelphia and Denver. And heck, I think another good stack game is Minnesota Vikings versus the Chargers, if you could find the cap space for it. But
yeah,
any final thoughts on this week?
Yeah, I would, just to build on that. I think so. My favorite stack game is usually going to be the one with the highest over under. So Dallas, Atlanta. Going with Dak Prescott and some weapons, and bringing it back with Cordarrelle Patterson, my second favorite would be the Chargers in Minnesota, because I think that's going to be a shootout too. Just based on those kinds of those rules of thumb, I think there's a lot of opportunity this week to not just get different, but also have some more manageable and realistic stacking options. Because I think in the previous weeks it's been a little more difficult because there's been a ton of mismatches like across the league. Like we're talking 13, 14 point spreads, which is, not very common in the NFL, but there's just been some crazy mismatches as of late. So I think we're starting to get some closer matchups, which provides, I think, some better opportunity DFS wise for some scoring.
Well, all right, man. Let's get out there and make some money, guys. Again,
all right.
Visit the Discord at Sports Capitalists. I'm sure there's gonna be a link below. Check that out. My name is Dangernation. This is Adam. Y'all have a good night. All right.
All right. Have a good one, everybody.